So please be sure and listen to your candidates and their answers to these questions, because this is an important decision to be making for Walker County. They're going to make their opening 2-minute statements, and we'll start with Mr. Harris.
Well, I just want to thank the Transparency Coalition. They've done such a great job, and it's in such a tough situation, and still to have this great of a turnout, and all the candidates, it really is impressive that they've been able to do this. And I just want to take a second to just say how impressed I've been with the candidates of the districts. Really great people, and it makes me proud to know that, you know, I live in Walker County. I'm proud to be from Walker County, and I'm proud to have any of you guys represent me. So I really appreciate that. If we could give them a round of applause. You know, sometimes we just got to think it's great to be here, and it's great to live in this country, and especially this area. And so I think today's a great example of that. And I think the next 4 years are going to be a great example of that. I feel like we're moving to a new era, and we're moving to a time where you guys have a voice, and we all have a voice. And, you know, one person they can do their best, but they can't do everything. And so having a board that's from your area, lives with you, is able to hear from you, that's going to be really important. And for our position, communication and just being available is going to be one of the most important things, and then setting vision and making us move towards that vision. And the past 4 years, you know, been tough. We've kind of been in a hole, and we've kind of filled in that hole. And, you know, I definitely give credit to the commissioner for doing that. But it's time to grow, and it's time to move out, and we can't just keep piling dirt and expect to grow. So we're going to have to come together, establish where we're going to move in the next 4 years, and we're going to have to grow our way to a better Walker County. So I thank you very much for coming, and I look forward to working with you in the next 4 years.
This is a great crowd. I'm glad y'all came out today. I'm Perry Lamb, running for chairman. I got politically involved about 6 years ago when it was time for this county to move beyond what we had, the sole commissioner. I ran 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago for commissioner. Did not win the seat, but now it is time for us to have a board. I spoke about it, and now we have it. I am very excited at the people I've heard today. We've got some great people. And I was taking notes while I was listening to them. And everyone spoke a lot of the same: accountability, integrity, vision, communication, engagement, and efficiency. These are the cornerstones of what real government needs. We need our leaders to listen to us. Accountability. We need our officials to be accountable. I have put out sensible solutions. They are programs, they're policies. They're things that have been tried throughout this country. They work. They hold our government accountable. I didn't pull these out of thin air. I've listened to the people of this county for the past 5 years. I've listened that y'all have wanted integrity. I've put up policies for ethics ordinances, data and records ordinances. Communication, we have Speak Up Walker. Yearly surveys. We have Walker Performs, which saves taxpayers money. That's what y'all want. Y'all want us to be efficient. I will manage the county, and I will work with this board. I will communicate. Thank you.
Pull us back here a little bit. We've gotten off on our plugins here a little bit. But I want to welcome each of you here today. Thank you for coming and being a part of this. I know that with the coronavirus scare that everyone was probably concerned about coming out. So we made sure up here today that we're in our coronavirus environment seating where we skipped every other chair just to keep our distance. So we're not all mad at each other. Didn't want y'all to think that. But, you know, the last 3.5 years has been quite a journey for all of us in Walker County. There's been a lot of sacrifice, both for you, the citizen, the taxpayer, and also within the government. we've had some tough times overcoming the hurdles that we've had with the monstrous debt of over $70 million and no cash on hand to run the operation completely the first month. But I'm proud to stand before you today and say that with a lot of hard work from all the elected officials, the staff, and you as our citizens, and the sacrifice that we've all given, that as of January the 31st of this year, we hit the milestone of eliminating over 50% of our debt here in Walker County. We have now paid off over $35 million in debt. You know, the first year we had to do a tax anticipation note of $8 million. And myself, along with Robert Wardlaw, even had to go down to the Capitol about May of 2017 and talk to the state and the state treasurer that we might not make it. We might not have the money to get through the year, and prepare them that they may have to take over Walker County because we're not allowed to file federal bankruptcy. We got through those hard times and we paid back that $8 million. The second year, we set up a $6 million line of credit. We only used $1 million of that and paid that back in about 35 or 40 days. In 2019, we borrowed zero. We had no tax anticipation note, and we now stand strong in a cash flow position and half our debt eliminated. Thank you.
I was just letting them know you're the timer. Keep their eyes on you. We're going to turn the questions over to our board. We're going to be doing this for about half an hour or so, and then we'll take questions from the floor.
As a county chairman, being in a leadership position, what are some of the leadership principles that you believe would make you a positive leader for our county?
You know, I kind of got thrown into leadership pretty early. Probably too early. 26, I was an assistant principal. In 29, I was a principal. And I was probably too young really to do that job and do it well, but I had to learn a few things. One, develop relationships. And, you know, we can have all the policies that we want. It's about having relationships and establishing good working relationships and letting people know that you don't just care about the job that they do, you care about the people that they are. And you care about their circumstances and how you can help. Two is just being a servant leader. I should be willing to do any job in this county, and I am. I'll dig a ditch, I'll mop a floor, I'll pave a road if somebody showed me how, you know. I think we need that. And then also it's just setting a vision and building a team and moving those people towards that direction. And that doesn't mean I'm pushing, but I'm working with those people as they find the areas that are going to make Walker County stronger. I'm supporting that vision. And so by providing those supports, we get a lot further than I can do it on my own. I don't pretend to have all the answers, and I don't pretend that necessarily by myself I'm the best person, but I can build the best team. And I can work with that team for the betterment of Walker County. And so as I go through that and the lessons I've learned as principal at Gilbert and seeing the things that we were able to do, National STEM certification, National Green Ribbon School, Public Education Foundation Model STEM School, 88% for introduced lunch, you know, school on the other side of the tracks. But it became a place that people wanted to be, and people were very proud to be from. Walker County is kind of the same situation. We've got great opportunities, we've got great people, we just need some focus and some vision, and we need somebody to support those that are working in that mission. And I believe that I can provide enough support to get us there, and I believe that I've had enough experience that gives me a good balance between opportunity and proof of concept. And so I believe I've got a proof of concept in my leadership, and now it's the time to establish where we're going to move forward to.
To be a good leader, you need to be able to lead by example. I started many years ago at the city of Tampa, where I used to live, and I did the jobs that y'all are asking our chairman to do, to build roads, stormwater, make sure the grass stays cut, I've also been able to look at where leadership failed. Leadership failed because employees, when I was in management, I didn't have the tools to be a better manager than I could have been. I've watched employees not be better employees because they didn't have the tools that they needed to be efficient in their job. As a leader, you need to be able to help the people not below you, but your partners in the job you're trying to do. You need to give them the tools to become great leaders. With this new Board of Commissioners, I will give all the commissioners the tools to make sure they are great leaders. My solutions, that's all they are. They're tools, but they're tools that have been tried throughout this country. These are things that work. You know, this is not guesses. These are going through, looking at these other counties, these other cities. What y'all want are commissioners that can do a good job. I want commissioners that will do a great job. And what I will do is lead them. And in the process, they will help lead me, which will help me become better at my job. Thank you.
Transitioning to a Board of Commissioners is a great opportunity for us, but when we hear from our neighbors in other counties and other communities, they talk about the challenges that we're going to have and how hard it's going to be to pull this off, because they're speaking from their own experiences in their own communities when they've transferred from a sole commissioner to a board. And there's even some early conversation here today about that it's going to be a turf fight, it's going to be a turf war. And it's going to take strong leadership from the chair position in order to move this county forward and to lead in a positive direction. And it's going to take someone that has got some experience in a board leadership chairman position. You know, I've had quite a bit of experience over my years being in leadership positions of being here at the Chamber of Commerce, being the chairman of the board, the chairman of the Chickamauga Library Board, chairman of the Regional Library Board for our entire region, being the chairman of the Water Authority. So I have experience working with other people, leading in a chair capacity, and I know that the odds are stacked against us. So one of the things that I've already started was reach out to all of the candidates that are currently running and invited them to come spend an hour at the office, sit down with them, and go over the SPLOST and what it means to our community and our county. Even these two gentlemen that's sitting here today, I also invited them in and spent an hour with them talking about our county and about our future, because it's that important that we get it right. And we made the commitment that regardless of who's standing after the May election, we're going to continue that on a monthly basis. And every month we're going to invite the candidates that are still standing in the race and bring them up to speed and help this transition and move things forward as a team, and not make this like other counties have experienced. We want to show the other communities that we can do this and we've got the right solution. Thank you.
There's been talk today about bringing in new businesses and that. Do you feel it is right to give new businesses coming into Walker County tax breaks and other privileges while existing businesses continue to pay the fees and the taxes that have been levied against them?
I've never been a big fan of government getting involved when it comes with businesses, telling what businesses get the money and what other businesses do not get the money. Walker County just gave a very large company in this county $35 million bond. Why did we not give that to the small businesses? What we need to do, and what I am working on, I wish I could put it out there, but I don't want to give anything to the people that is not in stone, that can work. But there are programs throughout this country that can incentivize small businesses. make small businesses thrive in a community like ours. There are certain industries where we will not get in this county. Unfortunately, we do not have the infrastructure. We're not close enough to interstates to make that happen. But we can help the small business. We can create an environment that helps them grow. That is government's job. Government's job is not to tell anybody who succeeds and who fails. This Board of Commissioners, and I've heard many of them speak of it today, they realize the importance of small business. They realize the importance of giving them the opportunity to succeed. As chairman, I'm going to work with these gentlemen. That is what our job is, to help the small business owner in this county and to show other businesses from outside the county we are inviting and we want you here.
This is one of the challenges that we have in our community, because there's a lot of other communities that have a lot of money, and they will basically buy businesses to come into their community by giving them upfront incentives, giving them free land, and giving them upfront money, and building buildings and giving them back to them at little to no cost. And that's something that we have not had the money to be able to do, nor do I agree with. And so a good example of a project is the Macklemore project up on Lookout Mountain. That's become over a $220 million project that will generate a lot of new jobs for Walker County and will generate a lot of sales tax. We've got $0 into that project up front. But we did negotiate with them and provided them some tax savings on the back end, but there was some criteria there that they had to produce 180 full-time jobs with benefits. Not full-time equivalents, but full-time jobs with benefits. And just the sales tax and the hotel motel tax and the alcohol tax that's going to come in from that project is going to more than offset. Plus, we also negotiated that they will continue to pay the same tax rates that they're paying today. And so there are ways to be creative and give companies incentive on the back end, more of a proof of performance, but we're not in any position to give companies money on the front end or give them free things, because we don't have that ability financially to do it. And sometimes it can become quite toxic to do that, because then you're really picking the winners and the losers in your community, and it's just not good business practice. And also, too, our school systems, a lot of these industries come in, the first thing they want to know is about your school system, and then they want you to abate those taxes. And we've taken a position that that's not positive either. That's not a good thing to do. And so anytime we talk to companies, that even with looking at some back-end savings, we always try to protect our schools and not give those abatements on the back end for our schools.
So a lot of what I do is dealing with small business and then workforce development. I'm on the executive board of the chamber now, and a lot of my job as school innovation is, and CTAE, is going out and meeting with business and industry and making sure that we're providing the workforce that they need with the Walker Launch program and several other programs that we're doing. And so you kind of learn the needs of business and industry, especially those currently in the area. And while I do agree that there's times that we need to work with a business, if it's going to cost us 10 to make 1,000, that's good business. Okay, it just is. I think there are so many opportunities that we're missing out on, businesses that are currently in our community, that we could just help a little bit and see, potential growth for positions and jobs and tax revenue coming back. And so when you look at, it's a lot easier to get Roper to add 200 more jobs than get 200 new jobs into the county. But there are a lot of businesses in between Roper and the very smallest business that are good, solid businesses, and they're poised for growth. They just might need some help getting there. And I'm all for doing that when the numbers make sense. I'm sorry, it's good business, and so that's what we need to do. I'm not for handing out freebies to anybody that, or big promises. We're going to live within our means and we're going to work, but it does often make sense to provide some tax abatement or provide some in-kind services, that it's going to bring jobs and money back to the county. I think we need to be pro-business, and we really need to open Walker County for business. And right now, while we're doing some good things, we're not very business friendly. We're going to have to get a lot more business friendly in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to talk to you about communication. We've heard this come up a number of times throughout the day so far. A lot of it has been accomplished in the past 4 years in our county. I don't think any of us can deny that, and we're all thankful for that. One of the things on the north end, where I'm from, and I've heard that today from the other parts of the county, is the lack of communication. Not everyone wants to go to Lafayette to visit with our county leadership, and not all of them are able to. Many would like for you, if you're elected, to come to our neighborhoods on a regular basis. We would like to talk to you about codes enforcement, about job creation, about blight, about whatever the issue of the day is. We would like to see more communication. I think the county would appreciate that. And could you tell us today what your plan, or what you would tell us today that you would do to help us communicate better and keep an open line of communication open in regards to any issue that will come before you in the next 4 years?
Communication with you, the citizen, is something that we've worked a lot on, and there's always more improvement that can be done. And that's part of the problem that we had in the past administration, is they kept communication as close to zero as possible. And that's how come there was a lot of things going on in our county that hardly any of us knew anything about, or we'd have all been in outrage. And it allowed us to all become asleep at the wheel. And so ever since I've been in office, in a lot of my meetings, I encourage people to get involved, to stay engaged, to communicate with their local government by being engaged. And several of the things that we have done is we have started a monthly e-newsletter, because Mr. Rhodes' right, not everyone will come to Lafayette, not everyone has time, but we communicate through this e-newsletter. We also have enhanced our presence with our website, Facebook. We set up the first Facebook account for the county as a true governmental Facebook account. We also have podcasts, and we've also had community meetings, which are also very, very important. But we need you to stay engaged. You being here today is a wonderful thing, that you're here to take an active role in your government, because it takes everybody working together. And so we can always look at ways to improve that communication. Having a board of commissioners where there's actually commissioners that live in every district is going to be a strong positive plus for all of our communities. I think that's a great thing that we're going to have moving forward, and those district commissioners can have those meetings on a more frequent basis than you can do as a sole commissioner in a large county. So if you're not a part of our e-newsletter, please sign up, like the county's Facebook page, visit the website. We get over 30,000 visits to our website every month, and we're adding new things on a weekly basis to the website to put information out there to communicate to you. Before, you had to do an open records request to even get a copy of the audit. Now there's over 23 years of audits at your fingertips online on our website that you can view and understand where the county is currently.
You know, we could spend an hour talking about communication. We really could, in a county this large. And I'm from Lynn Lane on Wilson Road in Rossville. I live in Lafayette. I'm all over this county, and a lot of it is I'm just available. I'm around. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to come out and see you. I'm going to be at the same events. My son's in school here. My daughter, she's at Georgia Tech. She'll be home pretty soon with all this going on. But I think one of the best ways that we communicate is by communicating. We've got some amazing elected officials in this county, and we're blessed to have them, and communicating with those folks, communicating with our department heads, and building relationships with our employees so that I know of problems before it has to be communicated by you. I should have, be out there and be available and know about these things so that you don't have to bring it to me. And that's working as a team and developing good relationships with those cities and other municipalities that we deal with. I think that can go a long way to solving, the communication problem that we do have in the county is just great relationships across the board with those other people that are involved in the day-to-day organization. Damon Raines, he's a big mentor of mine with the school system, and we work together. And so I think we'll have great relationships between the school system and the county just inherently. But I've worked a lot with Rossville in the DDA and some other groups. I worked with the Chamber of Commerce, of course, and worked a ton with the city of Lafayette. So I feel like I've got good relationships. I want to keep building those and get to know those folks. But, I don't care where I'm at, if I'm at a grocery store, if I'm at a restaurant, if you want to talk to me, that's, I signed up for this. So if you need to talk to me, talk to me. And if you got a problem, you let me know it, and I'll try to fix it. And I do think working with the five-man board is going to be a blessing because you're going to have somebody closer that you're more likely to see. But I'm at just about anything in Walker County, so I'm happy to talk to you.
How to get a message out to the people of the county? How do we communicate as a board? There are so many different ways, if you step outside the box, that we can do. I put out a website, Speak Up Walker, and in it was a survey that 6% of our electorate did. It wasn't a bias, it was done by, had the Pew Institute do it. Number one, that is the way we communicate. We find out what the citizens want. We give them the opportunity to have input. Number two, I've spoke about this, it's been on my platform months now. Facebook Live. We have people that can't come to the meetings, but yet we have thousands of people that are on Walker County Facebook. We can have open communication with these people right in their living room. I will do that. I will expect our commissioners to do that. We have so many people in this county that can't get out. We have to help them get to the meetings. Then we have the commissioners that will be having their meetings, hopefully every quarter. Some may have them every month. And if invited, I will be there. It is their district. It's not my job to step on their toes to try to tell them how to run their district. It's my job to help them communicate. It's to give them, again, the tools that I've come up with through Sensible Solutions. They've been out there. These are ways we can communicate with the people of the county. Thank you.
What do you consider as your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
Greatest strengths, I think, my job's innovation. So I'm really good at looking at the pieces on the table, seeing how they fit together and kind of finding a unique solution. And I pride myself on the fact that I can take it from an idea to implementation, and I've proven that over and over and over. That's what I do, and I'm also really proud of, I've mentioned team a lot, but I'm really proud of the people that I've worked with and the relationships that I've built and the folks that I know I can call when I need something and that they're going to answer, and if they need something, I'm going to answer. So I feel like those things are the greatest strength, the fact that I don't have to go meet people. I've already built those relationships, and we've worked together to help Walker County in a lot of ways. If there's been a board or a group doing something, I've pretty much been on it. And I'm not always the leader. I'm fine with sitting back and having somebody else take charge. But anytime I've needed a lead, I've been able to step up and do that. Greatest weaknesses is, hey, I've never ran for office before. I've never done this job. It's a new job in Walker County. But I've trained for a job very similar to this. So I feel like Mr. Raines, for the past 3 years since I've been at central office, he's given me every opportunity to learn the superintendent role. I've taken advantage of that. And I feel like this job is very similar to that role. It's a whole lot closer to the superintendent position than it is the sole commissioner position. So while I feel like I do not have experience in being a commissioner, and this side of government, the government's very similar to, it's a lot of the same pots of money. my job is to write grants and to bring funding in now for the school system. I feel like there are pots of money that are the same or similar that I can reach out. And I've already got those relationships built with the funders. So I feel like those things align pretty well, but it's definitely a new job and there's going to be a learning curve. And I'm prepared to do that. Thank you.
My greatest strength, I would say, is listening. Listening to the people of this county, what I've been doing for years. We've had issues in this county that people have not been able to talk about. Nobody's been there to listen to them. Now, I want to make sure that those people can have their voices truly heard through the district commissioners, that I hear them, and to help them hear all of you. My biggest weakness, I don't like government. I don't trust government. I don't trust the connections that seem to go along with everybody who ever gets elected into government. I want to see, and I hope, I've seen it today, and I want to see it in the future. I want to see these people running who are the farmers, like our founding fathers. You know, they were just men that worked with pitchforks and shoot horses and grew gardens, but they became our greatest leaders. That's what we have here. We've got a group of men who want to be our leaders. And as much as I hate government, that is the one thing about it that gives me hope, is that we've got leaders that want to step up and prove me wrong and change my weakness of not trusting. Thank you.
Some of my strengths is what has served us well over the last 3.5 years, and one of those is solving big problems. It energizes me. It's the challenge. It's the climb the hill. It's the grind every day. It's the getting up every day and charging the hill and, tackling the monster problems. And a lot of our monster problems in our county has been financially related. The way God has wired me to be able to analyze numbers and to understand the accounting process, to fully understand the governmental accounting process and fundamentals, which is totally different than business accounting. It's a different set of books. And so God has made me where I can take those numbers and analyze those things and balance budgets and pull things out of the numbers that a lot of people in the room sitting there looking at the same document don't see. And that's a strength that God's given me that has served me well over these last few years to guide us through this financial crisis that we've been in. We all have weaknesses, and this is a question that I always like to ask when I'm interviewing people, is what their greatest weaknesses are. I'd have to say my number one weaknesses are is I love Coca-Colas, and I drink a lot of them. And so we all have things that we are addicted to in some way, and that's my biggest weakness. Sometimes my family would say my other biggest weakness is I work too many hours. And that's part of that job of driving and trying to solve and find those solutions and to solve those problems. But many days as a sole commissioner, you start before daylight and you try to get into bed by 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And a lot of weeks it's 6 and 7 days a week. And so there's a sacrifice. And so the sacrifice is there, but the accomplishment at the end in bringing the county forward and moving the county in the right direction to prepare for this day that's coming before us in January is so inspiring and so motivational to me to have that drive and that motivation. Thank you.
As we move forward with this four-man commission, and you now will have men that will help you to be your eyes and ears in the county, from the north end to the south end to the east to the west, what do you envision or what do you want to envision And what will Walker County look like in 4 years from now?
I think that now that we've got the four districts, I don't see any miraculous change in 4 years. What I see in the next 4 years is an awakening of the people's spirit in this county. People having pride again in their county, knowing that they can trust their government, that their elected officials will have integrity, that they can go to them with a problem and that problem will be addressed. We've got too many layers where people have a problem and the solution never gets back to them. In the next 4 years, we're going to be working very hard with the district commissioners, or at least my job to work with the district commissioners, is to make sure they have the tools they need. There's many of them that want to bring in business, then we're going to sit down, we're going to figure out how do we bring in these small businesses? How do we make it an environment that's good for business? My vision is that we will not have what has been spoke of in the past as a bad marriage or herding cats with this new board. We're going to have a good board because we get to create this board. And the people of Walker County are the ones that get to vote it in. So in the next 4 years, I see some great things happening in this county, and it's all about the people of this county caring again and knowing that their government is listening to them. Thank you.
If we can get a board in place and get the community support, one of the greatest goals that we could accomplish over the next 4 years is to get Walker County completely 100% out of debt. And by doing that, it will prepare us for so many things, and it will solve a lot of problems. One of those problems that we still have today is that our defined pension fund for some of our employees that are on the older defined pension fund is still partially underfunded, and that's part of the debt that we still have remaining. And we owe it to those employees to fully fund that pension fund and take care of that. When we get to the point of fully being out of debt, that will be marked on the checklist of completion. But at that point too, we have the ability to make Walker County whatever we want it to be, because we're not paying all this debt service and not being the slave to the lender. And we've got to get past that. We've got to learn from where we've come from and get in a position that we can be one of just a handful of Georgia counties that are out of debt. And a lot of times when you look across the state, the bigger the county, the bigger the debt, because there's more people. But we can be one of these mid-sized counties in Georgia that becomes a leader in Georgia because we are debt-free. And a lot of these things that have been talked about here today, and a lot of these dreams, and a lot of these possibilities, and a lot of these goals can all be obtained when you're not saddled with this overwhelming monster debt. And so that's been my vision ever since I ran the first time. We're halfway there, folks. And if we can get halfway there in less than 4 years, in 4 more years, we can bring this county completely 100% out of debt and do something that people thought was impossible, because the debt structure and the payment structure was 20 and 25 years out for this county. And if we can do that over a period of 8 years and change of leadership, it will be something that people remember for generations.
So, we paid a lot of taxes, and the debt's in control, and it's kind of on cruise control right now. About $6 million comes off each year, and so that's being managed, but 100% out of debt. We can't start economic development moving towards prosperity when we get out of debt. We can't, save our way into prosperity. So we've got about 4 years to really get on the ball. And we've got the rural tax credit, and we've got the opportunities on tax credit in Rossville. We need to go all in the next 4 years to provide some economic development to the north end so that we're not always carrying that area as a negative. It needs to become a positive, and we've got to work with the city officials in Rossville, and we've got to work with all the other city officials so that they understand we've got to go all in on economic development. You know, I could have waited 4 years to run. I could have. You know, there's nothing pressing except we've got the right team in place. We've got the right people. We've got the right tax credits. We've got the right opportunities that we can go right now, and those are not going to be here in 4 years. So I'd love to wait 4 years. I'd love to be 100% out of debt before we do, but that's not realistic, and that's not realistic in government. And there's a reason why most counties are not completely out of debt. There's always going to be some debt on the books. That's not saying where we were at was right. And our goal should be to get out of debt, but we can't not do things waiting to get out of debt because we're going to see, you know, our economic circumstances continue to decline. It's going to be harder and harder to get out of debt because we've had the hottest economy in my lifetime the past 4 years. Now we're seeing, you know, a little bit of a slowdown with this pandemic. We've not seen any growth in those 4 years. We've seen decline. We're the only county in the region not projected to have growth in the next 5 years. We can't go 10 years without growth. We knew the circumstances that we were in, and they were tough. But we're ready to move forward, and we've got to move forward right now. This new board and the people that are in place that are willing to work with the county and all of our cities, they're great people. It's time to move, and it's time to grow. Thank you.
I'd like to follow up on some of the things that you have said, all three of you have said, and see if we can bring it into a question. Number one, we've talked about Walker Rocks and how great a program that is. Our county has some of the best scenic areas that people from around the nation come. No doubt about it. But we don't bring them through Rossville to get there. Okay? We never have. We go around Rossville. We don't come through the north end. We're currently living now in the shadow of Volkswagen talking about adding another 500 million. That's going to be more jobs. We have an industrial park that's maybe a quarter full. I don't even know if it's that much full. We spend a lot of money as a county for that, the facility. And then I hear people that I know in Chattanooga that say, we would love to come in to your area. Rossville, the north end of the county, is the closest to I-24, I-75. We're on the rail lines. We have water. We have fiber optics. They want into our North Georgia community. If we talk about cutting the debt, which we have done very well at that, the other way to cut debt is that you raise more business to create more income, to take the property value down, take some of the pressure off property values. What have we done, and what will you do to create either a task force or yourself to go into Chattanooga and say, hey, look, we're open for business. We've got the infrastructure. We're willing to negotiate. We're willing to talk. We need high-paying jobs. We need to work with you, Chattanooga. What have we done? What will we do? What can you do if elected? Thank you.
So I'm excited you asked that question because that's my goal for the next 4 years. Real simple. It's going to be economic development. And one of the things I want to do is put together an advisory board for each department and have one of our commissioners serve on that advisory board so that they can help take care of the day-to-day operations, because I've got to be all in on economic development. We're going to move any resource that we have in this county that I don't feel is mission-driven. We're going to move that resource to economic development. We'll put together a team, and I'll be leading the charge on this to make sure that we're going and, you know, I know a lot of those folks anyway. I work with a lot of those folks. We're going to make sure that they understand we're ready to go. Now, we've got an industrial park that it's a great farm. It's a lousy industrial park. And it's not on SPLOST, so that we're not going to make improvements to it and make it pad ready. So Rossville is a great location because it's flatter and we could do some redevelopment easier than we could do the dirt work necessary to get that industrial park ready to go. So we're going to work from that end. I'm going to make sure that we've got our commissioners working in different areas of the county so that I can focus on economic development and workforce. Workforce is an area that we've not talked about, but my job again is to write grants and bring money in. And we've got multiple revenue streams that we need to tap into that we're not currently doing. But a lot of that money is geared towards not just infrastructure, but economic and workforce development. And so we've got to go bring workforce development money in and work with our state and state legislators and our Congress to make sure that we get our fair share. And then we've got to go, attack that plan. We've got to develop a plan and then attack it. I think I was almost too excited about this question because I've stumbled over my words, but I'm really passionate in this area, and this is an area I really do feel like I can contribute directly, like with my experience and expertise. So Rossville, the north end, but also we look at the Barwick plant in Lafayette. We look at the Crystal Springs area in Chickamauga. There's great opportunities for economic development all across our county, and we've got to tap into those.
There is great room for growth in the north end of the county. There's a lot of money that wants to come into the north end of the county. Rossville, Wilson Road area. Biggest problem is a lot of that money is the ones who are connected to all the politics in this county. So how good is that going to work for us? How good is it going to work for us to let certain boards dictate who's going to come in? We need development there. But number one, we've got to start with the problem that we have up there. We have a huge drug problem. We have properties up there that are falling apart. We have slumlords up there that are renting to people that have no choice but to rent from them. We have a codes department that we have increased the budget from $170,000 to $740,000 in 3 years. And has it got us anything, David? We still have issues at the north end of the county. We are crushing, stepping on people's constitutional rights with our codes departments. People are turning away and ignoring what needs to be done because they're so mad at the way things have been done in the past few years. We do have opportunity at the north end. That's where it's going to start. I've talked to builders who have given me advice. I haven't taken money from them because I won't do that. I don't want money from someone who's going to come into the county because, hey, I'll make sure you get a good hand here. But we've got to work on the problems in the north end of the county. We've got to give Sheriff Wilson the tools he needs to get rid of the drugs, to clean up that area, and then we can start developing that, bringing in residentials. They did it at North Chattanooga. They had a great vision, which took years. But we can have a vision like that. We can change the north end of the county like they did in North Chattanooga. Thank you.
Most everybody is favorable of economic growth. We have had some economic growth here in Walker County already. One of the more exciting things that we track every month is the new single-family home construction. Over the last 4 years consecutively, we've been averaging around 125 new single-family homes built in Walker County. Folks, that's growth. I don't know why someone would think that that's a decline when consistently you have growth every year of new single-family homes built in Walker County. It troubles me greatly when I hear Mr. Harris talk about that the debt is on autopilot and that we want to back off of that so we can take those dollars and go other places with them to build economic growth. I think we're in a time right here now that's very important for us to all learn from with this coronavirus that's going around. When you have major industries and businesses, places like Disney World, Rock City, our school systems, everything is going into shutdown mode. Folks, the people that are going to survive this are the people that have the least amount of debt. Because our revenue in this county is fixing to take a tilt down, along with every other government, along with every other business in the world. And that's something we've got to think about. We're fixing to see the downturn because when you look at the businesses and the industries that are shutting down, you know, when you've got all your sporting events across the entire country being shut down, when you start looking at how this is going to domino, And folks, we cannot take and back off of getting out of debt and sacrifice that freedom. Folks, that's what we're talking about when we get out of debt. It's freedom. We are slave to the lender right now. And I don't want to back off that and shift that money to start giving it away to companies to come here so we can have a good photo op and we look good as politicians because we give the farm away once again. Thank you.
Okay, that's from the panel. Now we're going to take questions from the floor, and I see several hands popped up. Okay, Mr. Pope.
My question is to all three of you, and it concerns the Walker County Development Authority. Now, as I understand it, the members of this are appointed, not elected by the voters. Now, one thing that adds to that, when the voters of Walker County buys county money, county property, they think it's county property, but yet the ownership goes into the authority. And the voters have no direct control over that. It's at what the authority wants to do. Now, do you agree with the system that the voters should not have say-so over the property that they pay for, but yet shift it to the authority? That's my question.
Okay, the Walker County Development Authority has one appointee from the city of Chickamauga, one from the city of Lafayette, and also from the city of Rossville, and also the county government, and then 2 members are chosen at large. We have a unique opportunity. We're one of the few counties in the state that has a constitutional development authority, which is a great thing to have, and there's a lot of our counties across the state would love to be in the position that we're in. When you have a development authority, it also is open to the public. We have public meetings, they're advertised, the information's public. But it is a way to bring development and growth in the community. Now, we did see the last administration that manipulated that system and abused that system and took and leveraged this facility that we're in here today in our Ag Center and Mountain Coal Farms and our 2 industrial parks and leveraged that for debt and increased the millage rate by 1 mil because the Development Authority, a constitutional development authority, can raise taxes on your property by 1 mil. And that's in place now. It was put in place by the previous administration. And so some people, they don't like that, and I understand that. But I think when you get educated and you get involved and understand how the Development Authority can be utilized as a tool in a positive way, you see what advantage we have in our community by having a constitutional development authority. But it's like any other board, folks. They can be good or they can be bad. And unfortunately, in the prior administration, they did some misbehaviors, and they took and leveraged county assets and put debt against them. And so that doesn't go good for the people. But it's a great system, and we're very privileged. When you look into this, we're very privileged to have this in Walker County. It's a real asset to us. Thank you.
Yeah, I do agree that it could be a positive or a negative. It's definitely been a negative in the past, I believe. I hope with the 5-man board we can bring some further transparency to that. But it is an economic asset that we're going to need to leverage. And so where I do think, kind of disagree with some of the things the Development Authority's done, I do think we need to unload some of the properties. We've got properties that are not bringing in tax revenue. We need to take them off the tax roll. And we need to have results. I appreciate the work that's being done, and they've got some, but we've got to continue to grind towards results. But I think property-wise, we've got some assets right now that are not really in line with where we're moving. And but overall, as long as we can find a way to bring transparency through this 5-man board to the Development Authority, I think it'll continue to be a positive thing in the future, while I do understand that's been a negative in the past.
No, I don't like the authority board. There's some reasons behind it. There is so much that is not transparent in our county. How many people in this room, please raise your hand, know that we did a $35 million bond through the Development Authority? That's the problem. I sat in court the day they signed it. 3 people were there. Nobody let the people of this county know about it. That's the Development Authority. There's no transparency. You have to struggle to get information. We do not have open records policies that apply to them. We don't have open records policies that apply to the county. This is what and why people have problems with government. They own this property. It needs to be off the tax. We need to get rid of it. We are not realtors. The county is not realtors. Get rid of the property. Most of it is just sitting out there. We're upkeeping it. We have to send our county crews out there to clean it, cut the grass. We're paying for that. But we're getting no revenue on it. We need to get rid of the property. Our economic development can do good, but things need to change. I have not seen greatness come out of it in a while. How many big industries have we had in the past 3 years come in here through the Development Authority? The last one that came in was the industrial park, and I don't really think that's been a great one, considering what it costs this county. The new Board of Commissioners need to seriously focus on it and make sure it's run correctly, transparent for everybody to see. Thank you.
Who's next, Joanne? Okay.
Yes, yes. I was thinking earlier about how that I originally was against a 5-member board, and I've been really encouraged today for hearing from these guys and great ideas and all. And my question for y'all is, 4 years ago, as all of us are very much aware, our county was in a really bad situation. What is your plan other than, the very basics of a budget is you're spending more than you're taking in, you gotta change both of those. I've heard several people say today, candidates, we need to bring in more business, we need to bring more business. I wanna know how you're gonna bring more business in. I live in Mission Glen subdivision from the Rossville area. Quite honestly, Rossville has been a deteriorating blight on our county for years, okay? And I'm just being real and honest with you as far as the looks of driving through that area. So to me, something needs to be done to beautify the landscape of that area to encourage businesses to come to this area. But I'd like to hear, what is your plan moving forward? We obviously are moving forward. Shannon's also done an awesome job of taking us to where we're at, but what is your plan to make sure that that moves forward and we don't 4 years from now with 4 other fingers in the pie say, oh, well, guess what, we're kind of where we was. I want to know that we're going to move forward. That's my question.
So I'm on the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing team for Rossville and Lafayette. And a lot of that, we'd go into details, but really it's about improving housing stock. But it also qualifies you for some different grants. It gives you 20 points actually on some grant applications, which would help us with block grant revitalizing specific targeted areas. And leveraging the opportunity zone that's in place and the rural tax credits that's available, those are things that by putting together a team that can market the things that we have done, we've got a lot in place that should bring economic development. We're just going to have to provide a team of people with the resources necessary to go out and get those. So that's part of it, and it doesn't mean you go spend a ton of money. It means let's redirect some of the focus of the county. And the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing is just one good example. There are a lot of funds out there. And again, that's areas that I focus on. But without workforce and without good housing stock, you're not going to bring industry in. They want a place that they want to live. So you've got to develop the area and develop the county as a whole into a place with amenities that people want to live. And you improve the quality of life. That's where those executives want to move their families to. And so we're going to need to focus on just the community, the quality of life for every person that lives in this county. But improving the quality of life is going to provide some access to continued funds. And once we've established that we're successful with the block grant and we've administered that grant correctly and we've gone through the process, it'll begin to open up more and more. They want to build on success. So you got to get that first one. Once you get the first one, you become, kind of a hotbed for further investment and development. So I feel like we're right there on the edge. We need the push to get us over the top, but that's going to be a big focus.
I have to agree with Mr. Harris. It is housing. That's what we've got to do. We've got to improve the housing. We've got to make people want to live here. Then we can start working on the small businesses. Industry is tough. They've got to, any industry will come in and look at the area and decide what's the education level, what's the housing look like, what's the schools. It is a very grassroots thing that we've got to work on. But to do that, it's going to take a community. It's going to take a community that has pride in where they live. It's going to take developers that do not have their hands in the pockets of the politicians that you elect. Very careful. Pay attention. We've had that happen in the past. It cannot happen in the future, moving forward. We do have some grants available, but I've looked a lot into grants over the several years. There's been a steady decline. The governor just cut a huge portion out of the budget. First thing to go is grants. We have to be careful asking our higher up government to fix our lower local government. Government has a bad history, or they have a good history of screwing up anything. I'm not looking for government to fix our government. I'm looking for hard work with us, with the board, communication, talking with builders, looking at the properties that we own, and maybe bringing in a bunch of incubator businesses where we do have property. Bringing in small places saying, look, we've got a building, it's doing us no good. If you can bring in 10 or 15 jobs, we've got to start at the bottom. We're not going to get 1,000 jobs in here overnight.
4 or 5 years ago in the Chattanooga metropolitan area that includes North Georgia, there was over 13,000 single-family homes that were for sale. Currently, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of around 2,500 homes for sale in the Chattanooga metropolitan North Georgia area. So we've gone from 13,000 houses in inventory down to around 2,500 houses in inventory. Folks, there's over 3,000 realtors. There's not even one house for every realtor to sell a house. So we're going to see economic growth just organically because we're going to ride off the coattails of what's going on in Chattanooga. It was mentioned about Volkswagen growing, McKee Foods is growing, Roper's growing, Nissan Brakes growing, Audi is growing. A lot of our industries are growing, and we have a great opportunity. I think where there's some difference of opinion is how do we get there and how do we facilitate that? One of the biggest things that has been a tragedy in our community is we are increasing in crime, drug dealing, and people want that quality of life. And so I met with the sheriff last year, year before last when I met with him on his budget. I said, Sheriff, you've been in office now 23 years. Have you ever had a fully funded budget to provide the security and the safety and the public service that you know that you need? He says, never. It's not even come close. So we were not able to quite get there that year. But this year, folks, in 2020, our sheriff, for the first time in 24 years that he's been our sheriff, he now has a fully funded budget per his request. We have got to get on top of this crime. We've got to get on top of this drug dealing. It's coming out of the Chattanooga area, it's coming into Rossville, and it's going to infiltrate all the way through our community. And we've got to continue to get back to those basics. And if we get back to the basics of funding public safety and public service, we can move this county forward.
I tell you, we could continue this for another 2 or 3 hours, and I wish that we could, but we're already way over. So at this point, we're going to let our candidates make their closing statements.
I'm Perry Lamb. I'm running for chairman. And you want to know what I stand on and what I propose is look at my sensible solutions. They're ways to save taxpayers money. It's efficiency. It's transparency. It's open government. It's holding us accountable. That's what the people of this county have wanted. It's an open checkbook where you know how much money we spend every month. You don't have to go digging through files. You don't have to file for your reports, and you don't have to get told, well, it's going to cost you $50 or $100 or $300. It's open government. You've got 4 new people coming in. Do you want government as usual, or do you want government that is transparent? You are the ones that determine what we have in this next government. I'm going to close with this. I'm a very big fan of the Founding Fathers. Benjamin Franklin, when he left the first Constitutional Convention, was stopped by some citizens, and they said, "What kind of government did you create for us?" Ben Franklin looked at him and he said, "A free one, if you can keep it." There's some great words, great meaning in those few words. What kind of government do you want? Do you want what we've had? Do you want a government of buddy-buddy that come from every specific group, grooms themselves, or knows every political name around? Or do you want a government that is run by you? May 19th, vote for Perry Lamb.
We have a bright future ahead of us in Walker County, and we have a great opportunity to really launch and be a front runner across our region. And we've got a great team of staff members and department heads and other elected officials that are in place now. And we've been able to take and refocus what's important in those priorities and being public safety and increasing funding in our budget areas to take care of the things that we need to focus on to move our county forward. We have a great opportunity to keep this team in place while we are embracing and getting ready for a Board of Commissioners to come in. I have that proven track record of leading through hard times. I have that track record of leading multiple boards to success. You know, it was brought up earlier today, some of the problems that we faced and are still working through in our water authority, the Walker County Water Authority. Sometimes when I look at our problems that we have with our county and our problems that we had with our with our water authority, I often tell people that our water authority problems are greater than our county problems have been, because we got to have water. Got to have water. And so it's critical to keep that movement going. When I got in office, the water authority was losing over $500,000 a year. We've had to make those tough decisions as a board. We've had to increase rates. We brought our water authority back to solvency. We are working on plans where we are working to replace our water treatment facility. We're also working on a diversion plan to move our sewer from Chattanooga to the Moccasin Bend treatment plant down here to Chickamauga that will save us millions of dollars over the next 10 years. These things are in motion. There's things moving forward. We have opportunities. I want to continue to be the leader for you of this county that you're proud of, and to be the leadership of this region that people will come to Walker County and say, how did you do it? So I ask for your vote today, and again, I'm Shannon Whitfield, and it's been a pleasure to serve you over these last 3+ years. Thank you.
You know, I want your vote and I need your vote, and anything I've said up here so far today, I'm probably not gonna convince you, right now, any other way. Go ask people about me, go talk to your elected officials, go talk to the county employees, go talk to the school employees, and they can give you an idea of, what it's like to work with me. But realistically, I can't get up here today and not say, this is probably the last time we're gonna get together for a few weeks, and it could be more. So just, when you go home, go check on your neighbor, go check on your family members, make sure that they've got what they need. The COVID-19, it's a serious issue, and it's an issue that, I didn't want to get up here and talk about it, but we've not really mentioned it. So please make sure that you check on those family and friends. The grocery stores are getting low, and so we're going to need to come together as a community and make sure that we're helping those, especially less fortunate than us. Just do your best and try to treat everybody right. And that's kind of how I want to live my life. But give a prayer to President Trump and pray for our country during this time. And thank you very much. And y'all have a great day and stay safe.
Well, I don't know about you all, but let's give these gentlemen a round of applause. Thank them for running. Thank them for their knowledge and the expertise that they have and the experience that they have. I tell you, I was very involved in helping get the Board of Commission thing rolling. And it's something that has kept me up at night, concerned about the quality and the caliber of the candidates that would run for these offices. And I have to say today, I am very pleased with the people that have stepped up here and have run for these positions. I think we're lucky, and I think we're lucky as a candidate to have the group of gentlemen that are running for office. So I think as a whole, let's give them all a big round of applause.